Robert. Hi, Robert. How are you?
I'm doing good, Gerd. Thank you. How are you?
Good, good. We're waiting for the main act.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Gerd, while we're waiting, can I ask a quick question? And
Sure.
then as soon as John is here, I'll cut out. There was the one question on the forum about the use of nested attribute types.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, that seems like a case for nested compounds or compounds of compounds. And is that not a common usage pattern to have compound types of compound types, or?
It can be done. I would say the main problem I would foresee is that you're kind of, and we've talked about that in the past, you're leaving the mainstream in a sense of, if you then look at MATLAB or HDF View or sort of just the tools that your consumers of that data would use to peek at the data and so forth, your choices would be very limited in the sense that most tools, yeah, they just say, we don't support arbitrarily deep compounds, for example, or arbitrarily deeply nested types. So the main problem is it's technically feasible, but maybe not the most, from a usability point of view, not the wisest choice.
I see. So it just doesn't, because of the sort of the lack of the software environment that'll do the necessary introspection to walk the type.
Yeah.
I see. So really, when we're looking at compound types, it's mostly single level, straightforward struct types without.
Yeah. And as I tried to sort of hint in my reply, it's really, okay, these are primitives or building blocks that we provide in HDF5, and they have certain names, but that shouldn't fool people into saying, oh, in HDF5, this is called an attribute. And for me, I think of this as a decorative piece of metadata. So that should be an attribute. Maybe not. And so for example, if you want that, you can model that hierarchy also as part of the group structure. You have to come up with a convention anyway, and just to say, well, I use the HDF5 default convention, which gives attributes sort of a application metadata role. Well, that's not a convention. That's just, I wouldn't call that a convention. It's just how primitives work in HDF5. But for example, the benefits that you lose by using attributes is, for example, let's say you want to do hyperslab selections or partial IO or something. You can't do all that with attributes. And so it's really more of an optical distortion or illusion that people often, and there's nothing wrong with, for first a go around or a first cut, to use attributes, but then as you discover limitations of that approach, or you have other constraints, just think a little harder and think about, do I really need attributes? So there's a lot of flexibility, and there are compromises and choices. And
so when the choice is made to use an attribute, you're constraining yourself to compact storage. No.
I mean, as of HDF5 1.8, the file format specification version 2, which is supported in 1.8 and forward, you can have attributes of any size. So it's not and there is this switch between, I mean, if the attributes, the value of the attribute is large, let's say you have a string type attribute, but the payload is an XML file that's 10 megabytes. Well, that's not going to be stored compactly. It will go onto the heap, and then in the header, you will just have a reference.
Okay.
So yeah, there are choices, options.
Okay.
So for example, with with metadata, let's call it, you can have sort of sometimes you have sort of, let's call it, your main hierarchy that has all the heavyweight data items, and then you can design a, call it a shadow hierarchy that's also based on groups and data sets without any attributes at all. And I've seen people doing that. And it's really a matter of, yeah, what are your performance goals? What are the limitations in terms of the tools that are relevant and important to your audience? And